Good morning, traders. We are in what they call a fast market right now, of course, as we're getting PCE to come in here. We need to pay attention to see what's going on in the market. So let's go ahead. Let's take a look at what's going on right now in the SPY. We'll go kick things off with the playbook, but first we'll talk about the numbers. Market is heading down right now to 561 on the SPY. Let's take a look at today's playbook and the action off the PCE. All right, first up, what are we getting in PCE? Let's take a look at that. So numbers coming in right now, we get PCE month over month. Let's take a look at that 0.2 versus 0.2 estimate, 0.1 prior. We take a look at personal spending at 0.5 versus a 0.5 estimate. So all in line there, nothing wrong there. US core PCE price index at 2.6 versus 7 estimate. Actual slight tick down in the core, actually a good sign. Now, you did get a slight tick up in the PCE price index year over year. That's something to take a look at. You guys can see the reaction from the SPY right there. And this is the one that I think caused a little bit of downturn, is a 2.6 estimate versus a 2.5 prior. 2.5 comes in though. So, hey, actually underneath that estimate, there's really no negative in these numbers, yet the SPY is reacting down. This tells me more and more we need to watch out what's going on out there, traders. I think what we're seeing here is that we're starting to see that even good news is starting to have bad reactions. Like NVIDIA's report, it really wasn't a bad report, but it's having a bad reaction to the report. Same thing happened with ANF, right? That was my first signal this week that I started talking about it here. Right here on Trade the Pool, of course, and started thinking about, well, would we see some more downside? Will we see actually stocks with good earnings go down? And look at the action right now, guys. Look at the SPY heading down there to 560s, 580s. If we take a look there, I'm sure we'll probably be seeing NVIDIA slipping also. There it goes to 118.70s. We'll see what happens with SOXS if that starts to rip. I'm also keeping a very close eye on the VIXI to go ahead and take trades on that. We'll see what happens today, guys. I am keeping also an alert on for a trade that I'm in. I got to go ahead and just set a protection here. You guys see the alert right there. It's QNTM. We'll see what happens out there, but let me go ahead and just set a stop limit on this. Just want to make sure I'm protected in case this really does go to a downside turn. So I'll go ahead and I'll just put a stop limit out there in just a second here. But just keeping a really close eye on this as it starts to downturn here. But all right, let's go back to the action. Let's take a look at today's today's playbook. The first one is going to be gold, and I really do think this is in play now, especially as we start to see the downturn come in. So GOLD will be one thing that I'll be watching to see if it can start to get an uplift. If you take a look at the action recently, this is in a sideways kind of little flag pattern here. You can see how we're starting to try to go right back towards the upside on this. You could call the bottom trend line right around here, right? So you could get a little pullbacks below the 90 MA there, but looking for a rip above the 2050s towards the 21s. That can be an outlook there in GOLD. Let's get to the second playbook here as we take a look at the second one here. And for some reason, my second one isn't working, so I'll kick it to the third one there so you guys can see it there, but it's VIXI. So VIXI is one thing that I'll definitely be paying attention to. I've talked about this for scalps, right? There was even a scalp opportunity yesterday. And look at the daily chart. Look how you keep getting these spikes into the 1170s. Eventually, you might get a breakdown through the 11 if the market just rips. So you got to keep that in mind. But have there been available to get like 20, 30 cent scalps from like, let's say 1130 to 1160s and 1170s? Hell yeah. I've played it 3 or 4 times in the last couple of weeks. So I'm going to continue to take a look at this. The biggest thing and most important thing with this is that it spikes. I look for a small pullback, and then I ride that wave and make sure that it doesn't just come collapsing back down. The third one, of course, is NNE. This is a nano nuclear energy, right? And so what I'm looking at here is a necessary play into President Trump, or what I think will be eventually President Trump, right? I think a lot of people see that way. But hey, if you see it the other way, It's not about that. It's more about how can I trade off of this. So NNE going sideways here. I'm looking for a rip up there towards the 13. When Trump started talking about this made a run to 1375. Let's see if this can go back to that level. And of course, this is the mentality of trying to find different ways to use energy consumption for AI, Bitcoin, different usage. We'll see what happens with NNE. All right, guys, I'm going to do it for the playbook. Like always, we take a look at different stocks and different trades. Like always, hashtag no excuses out there, guys. You need to be doing a playbook every single day, getting yourself ready for the market and also looking for plays. A lot of these are based on the daily charts, combining technicals, the fundamentals, and of course, story. Story is so important. That's what that NNE is, especially. It's more of a story play. We'll see if it gets hot. All right, let's go kick it to the Sunrise report and see what's going on in the earnings reports. There was a couple of shakeups last night. Let's go take a look at what we have. All right, team, let's start the kickoff here. Of course, the BCE numbers that just came in. We're definitely going to be taking a look to see how this really shakes up the market. But at the end of the day, we'll keep continuing to watch if the Federal Reserve's next move with the latest inflation data that just came in, will they just continue on their path of cut? I think that's exactly what you're seeing here. Of course, the consensus came in right with what actually hit there. So you can't be mad about the numbers. You can't be viewing those numbers as negative. But what does this mean for your portfolio? And are you positioning for a potential rate cut? Or are you hedging against a more hawkish stance? Some things to think about. Let's get to the second report as we really kick things off with Lululemon. And Lululemon is one that I was actually trading up earlier in the week and talked about how I started to view it as a downturn, as I expected to start seeing more recession concerns, more concerns. But here is the earnings, and the earnings itself is telling us something. Let's take a look. As Lululemon Athletica is under pressure after its Q2 earnings report. The company beat on EPS, posting $3.15 versus a $2.94 estimate, but sales came in lower than expected, 2.37, missing the 2.4 consensus. A consensus that I started to see in a lot of these apparel makers is that there might be able to hit that EPS, but a lot of them are missing on sales. So the market reaction has been less than enthusiastic with the shares trading lower. Is this a buying opportunity on Lulu, or would you be concerned about the revised guidance that fell short of the expectations? If you take a look at that, the guidance for Q3 was now put down here, guys. The EPS is expected to be between $2.68 and $2.73, with revenues between 2.34 and 2.36, and the full year outlook also being brought down to $13.95 and $14.15 versus the $14 estimate. So definitely need to keep an eye out to see what happens here with Lulu going forward. Lulu has an ambitious power of 3x2 growth plan, doubling their business by 2026. Can they achieve this? Keep your eyes on this. How do you view their international expansion? That's something that you'll definitely be thinking about if you're looking to invest in Lulu. Let's kick it to the next one here. We'll go towards Dell Technologies, and a little bit of a rebound, right? Because SMCI in the same space has been getting destroyed. That could actually leave room for Dell to actually perform a little better. And of course, they probably don't have quarterly issues on their accounting. So let's talk a little bit about Dell Technologies here, as they're making waves with a strong Q2 performance, beating both on EPS and revenue estimates. Adjusted EPS came in at $1.89, surpassing the $1.71 estimate, with revenues hitting 25.03, ahead of the 24.14 billion forecast. The company is riding the AI wave, and AI optimized server demand shows impressive growth here. How does Dell AI momentum fit into your long-term investment strategy? Think about this, right? Where are some other areas that we can catch some significant tailwinds? So Dell expects solid top-line growth and sees the coming PC refresh cycle and AI's long-term impact as significant tailwinds for the business. Are you bullish on Dell's prospects, or Are there risks you're monitoring closely? That's all something to take a look at. Let's get to the next one here as we kick things off here. Let's go to Ulta Beauty here as they missed, and it's a big miss here, the mark on Q2 with EPS and sales falling short of the expectation. The retailer reported EPS of $5.30, missing the $5.55 estimate. Sales of $2.55 billion, below the $2.618 billion consensus. The company also cut its full year guidance, definitely not what you want to see, citing a decline in comparable store sales. Is this just a temporary setback? Did Warren just buy the wrong stock? All to think about, right? Or does Ulta's lowered guidance signal deeper issues within the real estate space? I think that's exactly what you need to be looking at. The full year guidance in EPS adjusted to $22.60 and $23.50 from $25.20 and $26 on the high end. So if you think about it there, their high end was supposed to be 26. Now their high end is looking at $23.50. It's a big shift here. This tells me more and more that the consumer's behavior out there that we need to be focusing on. So how do you see retail landscape shifting as the consumer behavior evolves? Are there opportunities here? Or are you guys just steering clear of the situation? In my eyes, I definitely think we're going to get back into that recession concern. So you got to be worried about these retail stocks. Let's go now over to, of course, Marvell Technologies, another important chip stock, right? They met expectations here in Q2 with an EPS of 30 cents, slightly beating on the revenues of $1.27 billion. The company is, though, capitalizing on the strong AI demand, particularly in the electro-optics and custom AI programs. Looking ahead, Marvell expects sequential growth across all end markets in Q3, with AI driving growth in various sectors. How are you positioning yourself to continue riding the tech wave? I'll tell you one thing. I think Marvell is just pushing here. Really don't see the growth, but something definitely to take a look at. I think at some point, right, you're going to start seeing these year-over-year comparisons, especially for these chip stocks, really start to take a hit. So the future earnings is what we always focus on. And will the future earnings be as bright as they are today? Something to think about, right? Let's kick it now over as we kick it to Autodesk, as we want to take a look at Autodesk here. It looks like I got the wrong image for that one. Yeah, wrong image for that one. Sorry about that, guys. I'm about to probably just wrap it up. Autodesk is an interesting one, and they did do beat on both EPS and revenue estimates. And then there was a Dell headline, not a Dell headline, an Intel headline that I wanted to talk about, as they're looking to see if maybe they'd start to do a restructuring and kind of split the business, split it between its product design and its manufacturing business. This could help it. I mean, honestly, Intel is in a world of hurt and issues, so I don't expect things to turn around immediately in Intel. It's a very, very struggling company. And sometimes this happens to companies that are around for so long, but just don't jump on the growth, don't jump on the opportunity, and are not looking to expand, but continue just riding the wave and making profits. Well, guess what? You got your lunch stolen from you, Intel, and you need to go ahead and take it back. All right, that's going to do it for us this morning, guys, on the Sunrise Report. Smash the like, guys. Now it's time to kick things off over to our live trading side of things. Let's start the show, really. Let's go take a look at the trades. I'm in one right now, QNTM. You guys see it on the screen. You guys see the charts out there. What are you guys looking to trade today? Let me know in the chat, and let's kick things off right here on Trade the Pool.
Wants 200, baby.
You ready to get back to the trading action?
You aim, you shoot, and make money.
It's going to be a great day. You guys know where you're at. What's up out there, traders? How we doing, guys? It's been a great week here. We're starting to wrap things up, and it's been another fabulous one for me, guys. I'm not going to be mad at all. Third straight week in the green, and I'll tell you what, no matter what, I'm ending this week green. Even if I have like a big red day today, I won't let it go into a red week because it's so important to build on that confidence, right? Now, third week in a row green and going to try to continue going towards it. And like always, what does this leave the room for? For a green month, right? Because this is something that I've been working on. And I think that you traders out there need to be thinking about this also. Am I doing myself a disservice by focusing too much on day-to-day profits, right? So not having the focus lost in, let's say, daily goals, but looking at more of a weekly goal and monthly goal. Because if I can hit my weekly goals, let's say for 2 or 3 weeks, a lot of the times that's going to give me the ability to hit what? My monthly goal. And if I can start hitting my monthly goals, that's going to lead into what? My yearly goals. And don't forget though, because at the end of the day, goals are great, but the only way we achieve goals is not by focusing on the goal itself, but focusing on the process and habits that we need to achieve the system that we're trying to do, right? So focusing on that has really made an improvement in my trading. And I know you guys are seeing it right here. So let's get to the trading action. Let's see what we can come up with today. Today was a little bit slower on the tape, guys. I will tell you guys that. And that's interesting to me, right? So a lot of times I wake up in the morning and I look at this pre-market chart, right? And these are pre-market gappers. And I'm trying to find what? I'm trying to find volume for 5-minute percentage, right? Why? Because the truth is, and in pre-market, the number one thing I'm looking for is liquidity, right? So I want to see some of these smaller names that normally don't have a lot of volume show me volume, right? So like right now, you're seeing this TOVX. TOVX has now a lot of volume, and look how it's starting to move. So this is the type of charts that I look for, guys, because these are the ones that are going to give us the potential, right? And a lot of this is what? It's the volume for 5 minutes. And a lot of times I want to see the shares closer towards in the millions, right? That's what's going to help me. So volume 5-minute percentage is one way that I look for to try to catch these runners in the morning. So there is one that I'm going after right now. It's QNTM, right? Let's talk a little bit about that one and take a look at it. This one had barely any volume though. A lot less volume than what I normally go for. So I have to go ahead and just focus on it towards the open, right? So what did I do? I just stayed very, very small. The spread was kept going wide and wide and wide on this QNTM. So I was looking at it to see what would happen. The big thing for me is I looked to the left and I saw this spike in the kind of the morning. It was a 4 a.m. spike and it went to 691. So of course, this stock being a little bit less liquid, it did come back down. But I'm looking to see if they can spike it back there. Because if they can spike it to 6 and 7, well, guess what? The 100 shares will pay off, right? And what are the 100 shares doing? It's leaving me the ability to stay in it in the morning. But I will say that this morning, it wasn't as attractive as it has been the last couple of days, where I have been able to just nail one of these small ones early and give myself a cushion. But let's go looking at other stocks here. QNTM, the most important thing is going to be, look at this 15-minute chart. You can see how we're going sideways on it. You can see how we've made multiple attempts to go in towards like the 495. At this point, I wouldn't want to see 495 actually show up and sell. You can see it here in the time in sales. You haven't seen much in the 4s with sizing. You've seen a lot in the 5s. And so I'm looking to see if we can finally take 540 and then just make a run. We'll see what happens on this. Shouldn't risk more than maybe 40 to 50 bucks on this. Really was trying to keep the risk closer towards 25. So just to kind of mention that, right? Really small risk, looking for a potential run. If I get it, I get it. If I cut it, it's a very tiny hit and I can keep working, baby. Let's get after it, guys. Let's catch up with some of you guys in the chat. Keep throwing up some stocks. It's so great to see you guys out there. Smash it up out there. Vic, what's up out there? Gold mentions. Yes, we'll definitely be taking a look at gold. I'll be watching it. I don't trade the futures, so I'm not going to tell you about the actual spot price of gold, but we can take a look at some other trades. Money, money, money. Yoga pants for everyone, says Jane. And I can't blame, right? I mean, have you guys seen that special with Lulu where you can get the shorts for like $10? That's the only way I'm buying those shorts. There's no way in hell I'm paying $40 for those shorts. But hey, we'll keep going, guys. Trader Life, are you concerned about the volume on NNE? Honestly, not. Because sometimes I feel like too many traders get too concerned about this, but not looking at the daily chart. Now, of course, with NNE, it would be kind of more of a swing trade, so I don't have to worry too much about the kind of the smaller size or the bigger size. Of course, on NNE, you can see it already kind of lifting a little bit here. It's just one to watch, right? I'll give you another one that's in this very similar space. And I'm watching it because it's a story type of stock, right? Where the story could be that nuclear smaller reactors become something that's really popular and used. And that's what Trump is trying to actually push, that he's saying he's going to do. So this is another one off the support. You can see how they're both pulling back and have a trend line. They need to both approach and start to rip. So I'll be watching both of them to see which one leads and then maybe play the laggard, right? So wait for one to tell me, hey, these are hot today, and then catch the one that hasn't run, right? Catch it near VWAP, try to jump on the opportunity. This is called the leader to laggard trade. And I do this all the time, guys, where I see one stock leading in an industry and I start looking in the industry to see if there's a laggard that I want to go ahead and catch. So stocks lag a lot of the times right behind the leader. And then why does this happen? It's the algorithms. It's the algorithms driving it and looking for others to pick up, right? All right, let's keep going. We'll see what else is out there. Seems like people, is debt is climbing. Retail tends not to be well when people max out the credit cards 1,000%. And don't forget, right, is that as you start to see rate cuts, one of the conversations is going to be is that the savings accounts that you saw people stacking up on and those CD accounts that you saw at like 5% for 6 months, those are going to be off the table. So the free money that's out there, we call that free money because it's risk-free money, right? Well, all that money is going to start to disappear. So that actually starts to make investments harder, not easier. And I think a lot of investors and smart investors were using that 5% to give themselves the ability to go ahead and take risk. And as that 5% falls off, they're going to start what? They're going to start lowering their risk because they're not just making money by just having it in an account, right? And all those fluffs out there from different platforms, brokerages telling you that you can get 5% here, 6% here, 7% here. Well, those will start to come down. So things to think about. What's up out there, Richard? It's good to see you, man. It's always good to see Judge in the chat. Of course, Judge used to trade a lot on Benzinga's stream, and I don't mind him coming by, right? Hey, the door's open like always, man. You know how I do things. And you're a long-term holder in Intel. That's a tough one, man. Because the truth is they need a lot of change in the mentality of what they do and how they can start focusing on something in the future. And if they start to split the company, will that be better for the company or worse? I think in the long run, that's worse. They need to fix things here. They need to make Intel sexy again. Intel is in almost every computer, yet AMD is catching up. But at the same time, still, what did I choose to put in my computer? Intel, right? Because the truth is, I had the availability of different kind of outlook to go after, and I went after an Intel chip, right? So figure it out, man. Make this company sexy again. That's what needs to happen. It's become kind of like how GE used to be, right? When GE was on that long decline. Somehow GE turned things around. Find that out. Find out how you turn things around. All right, guys, what's up out there? Why QNTM don't have history on the charts? Don't think it's an IPO? I don't think it's an IPO. Let's take a look at a little bit more into the stock here. So Quantum Biopharm is a pharmaceutical company developing 3 clinical candidates with the potential to address neuropsychotic and neurodegenerative inflammatory disorders. So there you have it. That's what it is. And I mean, I don't think this has been around for so long, guys. So I think this actually shifted from a different company, but I'm just taking a look into it. I don't know too much about this one. Just watching it, guys. QNTM. We'll see what happens with it. Right now, it's just trading at like 510s. You can see how this thing did an insane spike, but it did do a recent stock split that's helping it, right? We saw a lot of these biotechs do it. We'll see if this runs. really, I'm not feeling too confident about it. That's why I don't have sizing, right? I'm just more going after it of this was the opportunity that I saw out there in the morning and I went after it, right? A lot of it tells me that the volume 5% tells me that no, this is not the one that I should be in. I should be looking at more TOVX, and you can see how that one's going higher. And why? Because the volume 5%. So I've talked about this. I've given you guys the edge on the way that I'm looking into the pre-market. A little part of me is like, maybe, do you want to give that away? No, I'll give it away, guys, because the truth is, I'm always trying to look after you guys and showing you guys in ways that you guys can find edge in the market. There's no guarantees. I can't guarantee it, man. I'm not here for financial advice. I'm here to educate and show you guys so you guys can learn from me and learn the way that I'm approaching it. So this TOVX definitely was one that started to show up. Now you see this SNPX, but it's only at 319. So I even looked at this one to maybe take the trade, but also volume very, very tiny, not much volume there. There was another one, BCDA, right, that was moving. This is one that I'll put on the alert because it keeps doing these spikes and drops, and at some point it could do another spike through this trend line and actually get the run through 4. So this is one that I was looking at, but I was trying to get it at 370s. It still hasn't pulled back to that 370s, but just to put another one on alert, right? So this is one that you can definitely keep your eyes open for, BCDA, but you can see how the spikes are very short-lived. So I'll keep a watch on this. Either way, it's going to be something definitely to look at. And like always, guys, keep your eyes on a bunch of these. There was this BBIO that was up massively, but it has been pulling back. We'll see if that one at some point can catch a little bit of a lift. All right, let's keep going, guys. What else is out there? Shikana, what's up out there? Intel is in every computer. It needs sexy appeal, 100%. That's what you say. Hey, that's 1,000% what's needed, right? You think it's going to be sexy soon? Trust me, I've thought it's going to be sexy soon plenty of times, right? Even when they started to make mentions of within NVIDIA and stuff like that. But there's Intel, man. At least it's starting to make a little bit of a jump this morning. So maybe this could be something that we can at least ride in the short term. Maybe it can get into the gap space or at least towards the resistance today. So that's towards 2201. We're at 2147 already. So about 50 cents higher. You got potential to get there. And you were just at 2150s before. So I'd take a look at this high here, 2186. Seems to make sense for a nice run today. Pullbacks to 21, making sense. We'll see if you're able to ride that one. Made a few bucks on TOVX after a week of losses. It feels kind of nice. Yeah. The biggest and most important thing is, Jane, is looking back at the losses and not thinking about them as a negative thing. How can I turn this into a positive? How can I learn from my losses to actually make improvements? Where am I making problems for myself? I'm essentially creating it. And a lot of the times that's going to be negative habits that we need to turn into positive habits. And the number one thing, think about it. What are your habits in trading? If you could actually turn those to be positives for you, you have no idea the impact you could be making on your trading. So a lot of traders try to focus on getting the perfect system. What about just trying to improve our personality and the way that we're trading, right? So my problem is almost always impulsive trades. So with the impulsive trades, this is important, right? Because this is all about how life is overall. And I'll tell you that because the truth is, we live life in a predictive stance, right? We're always trying to predict what's going to happen next. And it's kind of human in us to do so because we're always trying to take stimulus, right? Information here, information there, what I'm seeing, and then trying to create an inference from this. Understand that you don't need to know what's going to happen next to make money. Who said this best? Mark Douglas, of course, Trading in the Zone. If you haven't taken a look at this book, Jane, I definitely recommend it. It's one of my all-time favorite books in trading, and it's one of the #1 books to have really turned my psychology in trading. And still to this day, I sometimes just listen to it. I'll read it. I have it in, text form. I have it in audio form. I have it in plenty different ways. And you could also find some videos out on YouTube. Just search Mark Douglas, Trading in the Zone. You can hear him talk about the psychology of trading. Remember this one thing. You don't need to know what's going to happen next to make money. What you need to know is what? Risk to return. How do I go about this? Am I seeing certain patterns? Am I giving myself a true edge? Think about these things. And am I just buying things because I see the move? That's not enough, right? That's a big thing that I try to do, right? So I'm in the morning, the pre-market trades, right? I'm looking at that volume. I'm finding the volume percentage. I immediately go to that stock and look, is it off a clear support on a 15 or 5-minute basis? Is there a pattern there to attack, right? Am I seeing an undercut rally? Did I just see a rally and now it's starting to pull back and I could jump on that throwback look? Things like this we need to be thinking about. And keep working on it. If that's your habit, tell yourself, how can I change that habit? Is it maybe seeing a trade and waiting 1 minute before I even can take the trade? Things like this can actually help you. Slow things down for yourself is going to be a big, big move. All right, let's keep going, guys. I wish you guys the best. TOVX, spiking. Let's go ahead. Let's take a look at it. For me right now, this is a little bit too high and too far to chase, right? If I'm taking the trade on this, guys, it's right here at the 8:30s time and looking at this pattern, right? So I just talked about it. What would I be looking for? So if I came in the morning and I saw this at 7 a.m., I would have been drawing a trend line right here, right? Been drawing a trend line looking for a pop back above the 475s. Right there, you get that first pop right through 5, right? And it goes all the way up there on the first spike. Where does it go to? It goes to this 525s, right? But look how it comes back right for the trend line. This is the exact area that I love to get entries here. Right here is the spot, man. This is where you can really get after stocks and take a nice win. So you're giving yourself a potential, right? You're saying, come back to $5. Come back to this trend line closer towards 475, and I can really get after you. So on that pop towards 525s, you can put limits out at 5, at 480s, and 475. Maybe you don't get the 475 to hit, and you only get the 480s and the 5 to hit, but that puts you at 490, right at underneath the VWAP, and it gives you the ability to risk underneath the support here to the left. You can risk around the 470s, looking for the pop back through that 525, and then continuation through that. It actually goes to 525 and gives you another ability to load at 5, and then really makes the breakout. At that point, you're in breakout stage. Now I just ride the 9 EMA. I would have been riding the 9 EMA towards about 6 when it broke down here, and then taking the trade off. Now it reloads here at the 575s. You're reloading at what? Prior support. So the only way you would have been able to get after it here is trying to attack this prior support. So you see the support here to the left, you're seeing it hold, you see it hold on the undercut, and you see it rally back, right? And that from that point, now you could go ahead and you could play this resistance, right? So 618. If I look to the left, I look to the right, I see it come back to the 9 EMA, holds that 618, and now makes a move to 650. I'm just looking to see the 9 EMAs hold now. Undercuts below this could start being a turnaround, but that's the way I would be playing TOVX. At this point, maybe I played that 618 and I rode it to the 650s and sold it, but always keeping in mind, undercutting back below, let's say the 610 area could be that breakdown in TOVX. And you always got to know where the breakdown is. Know where the other side is. Sorry, I'm not showing the chart. I can't believe I'm not showing the chart there, guys. I just broke down the whole chart and then didn't really do anything there. I'm so sorry, guys. Let me go back and I'll show it really quickly. So the stock sets up in the pre-market, and you got to do this every single morning. So look for the volume, right? This stock didn't have much volume in the morning, but it had a nice little trend line by the 475. It pops to 525s, goes right back into that area. You could have been taking it off of that 480 area, looking for the pop back above the 525s. Exactly happens, then pulls back to 5, then really gets your breakout. Then all you're looking is 9 EMA pullbacks from there to hold. Once it starts to break 6 there, I would have sold it then you could go back in off the 566 support. Boom, right back up to the upside, holds the 9 EMA. Once it starts cutting the 9, can get out, right? Things like that is the way that I play after the morning action. All right, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed that, breaking it down. Sorry about not having the chart up there, but hey, that's what it's all about, man. All right. I hope you enjoyed that. That's the way I look at it. And a lot of that is the percentages and thinking about things, Jane. So this weekend, at some point, maybe it's Sunday when you're starting to come back, really think about the habits that you're doing in your trading and how you can change that. And at the end of the week, next week, don't look at what your profits and loss as if you did good or bad, but more look at your habits. If you're doing the right habits, the profit and loss will follow. That's what I'm seeing right now. That's why I'm having a nice little kind of change in my trading right now, because I'm not focusing so much on what's happening daily, weekly in the profits to loss, but focusing more and more. Am I focusing on the patterns and habits that I want to continue to approach? All right, we'll see what else is out there. Wish you the best, Jane. Keep pushing. All right, got any more free mini buying powers? Man, how many do you want, Conrad? We gave out 50 of them. Can't blame you, though. Can't blame you, man. Trust me. I can't blame you at all. We all want the opportunity, right? But yeah, we'll have more giveaways like always. I know that we had one on Instagram. I would definitely focus. I would focus on like following all our social medias, because those will give you the opportunities a lot of the times to win stuff. So if you like that, Conrad, hey, make sure you have all our socials: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. That's going to give you the best possibility to go ahead and win. All right, let's get after it, guys. It's about 6:09 here. Still taking in, still in this QNTM. So let me go ahead and kind of take a look at this, guys. And you guys can see here on the 1 minute, what do we have here? And I'm going to draw you guys another advantage that I give you guys. And this is a pattern that I have found. Oh, we got another one showing up there. Volume 5%, 16,000, ATPC. ATPC. What is going on in this thing? This thing did a reverse split. I need to take a look at this stock. What the heck is going on here in this one? All right, guys. Well, this is pulling back on the 9. So below $2 is where I really see the entrance here. But it's a weird one here. I have no idea about this stock. So a lot of times when I find this, it's very hard to just quickly jump after it. But this thing spiked to 4 just recently. And we've seen these packaged food stocks make a move. So let's see what happens here as it comes back towards the 2. You can see that you're starting to get some sellers aligning themselves. 273. That's a seller aligning himself. So what I would be looking here now is, can you cut into the $2 spot? Can you show me a big bid that this wants to kind of magnet to? So I'm looking on the left-hand side here. I'm looking to see if maybe this 195 is an area that we could go back to. See that 1,000? You see how you now start to do, that's what we call bid support. That can actually cause this stock to come back up. So you see that's bid support on the algos right there off the 25s. So now I would look for the undercut of the 9 EMA. I'm looking for them to get caught. So they're buying right now off of that. They're going to get hit on maybe pullbacks right here. And then I'd look for it to go to the $2 or slightly below 2 to take a shot on this. It's not a bad area if you're taking shots in the 220s there, but you got to understand that the pullback could be to around the 176. This thing did get volume out of nowhere, but still hasn't hit the 1 million shares. So that's one thing that I also look for, but this has just popped right at 901 is when this start. And the big thing is why this popped is a split for 1 to 20, right? So remember, this stock eventually, and majority of splits always come down. So you got to be careful with this. And look how this thing has always spiked and it's back down, right? So just be careful with this ATPC. It's definitely what I would call a dash for trash type of stock, where they're dashing to it because it's moving, but it's definitely trash. We'll see what happens. All right, let's keep going. We'll see what other ones are out there. Let's keep pushing, guys. Snow and Micron is up. All right, we can take a look at those. If you guys have any stock you guys want to take a look at, let me know, guys. I'm fixing to purchase the Super next month. I'm ready. Let's go, Conrad. We'll be here, man. I'll be here pushing along with you, man. And that's one thing that's important, right? So if you're looking to get the super next month, one thing that I would tell you is to look into our demo account, because you could take the demo account and just approach it like the super. Why not do that, right? Why not test yourself and focus on that, right? Trade exactly how you're planning on doing in the super and seeing what you can do right now and into next month, right? So if your plan is next month, give yourself 30 days. See what you can do, right? All things to think about, man. Always here to help you, man. Keep pushing forward. Let's go. All right, guys. And next week, I'm going to be trying to show you guys more about our sponsorships and different programs that we have available for you on Trade the Pool. So if you're not using things like trade ideas, well, I definitely think you're missing out, guys. I've actually been using some more trade idea scanners that are pretty interesting, right? We could take a look at this one. This one's an interesting scan right here, guys. I'm going to throw it up on the screen so you guys can see it. This is inside day. So we can start taking a look to see what stocks made an inside day yesterday. PBYI, biotech stock, a $2 stock. We'll see if this kind of gets to move. What I do with a lot of these is I'll look at the daily chart and take a look to see if it's something that interests me. Ouster. Look to see if that can make the move back towards the upside. That one's been pulling back as of late. QNTM. It's funny. It shows up. Wouldn't this show up, guys? But we'll see what happens on this one. Can it get back through the 525s towards the bell? Definitely need to pay attention towards the bell on this one, guys. But we'll see what happens there. ASTS. Can Space Mobile get another lift there? It's just been hanging out here on the pullback. Could make another push, but also could reject this resistance and it become into a bearish pattern, right? So watch out for an attempted breakdown back towards the 28 and Space Mobile. Triple D showing up there. 3D Systems. This is a 3D printing stock. Man, whatever happened to 3D printing? I thought it was going to really take off, and it just hasn't. I'm on it. Love the platform. Love to hear it. Triple D, Judge. Brought that one up too, man. I don't know whatever happened to this, man. To tell you the truth, I believe in 3D printing, and I believe in even like this one, like that had a reverse split to keep itself alive, like Desktop Metals. But the truth is, man, it just doesn't get the love that it expects to. SMCI, I think this is a done. This is a goner in my eyes. I would not be going after this company. Really big concern that they gave, telling me that you get a short report about your accounting and then you tell me that you're going to delay your accounting. Not what you want to hear, man. Not what you want to hear. It's now you're up to like whatever happens in the company. And with that being mentioned, I just think it's just too scary, right? I would love to trade SMCI, but the premium is so high when it's 50% down. Yeah. And the big thing is at any moment, this company could come out and say, yes, we found some issues in our accounting, and this is what it was, right? So with that being said, you never know where Supermicro computers are going to be down 200 or up 200. With that being said, too much risk for me, right? If I don't know or don't have edge in knowing, why trade it? That's the way I think about it. There's plenty of other trades, right? Quick analysis on Tesla. Not a bad one to take a look at. Let's go looking. So I'll just, before I really focus on that chart, yesterday I was expecting it, maybe seeing a bounce back on Tesla, and I think it was really weak. Let's take a look at it. Tesla did do a little bounce back, but then it kind of stopped at the 210 spot, right? It pulled back to the area where essentially it pushed up from yesterday, right? So now you got to look to see if you use that as resistance, right? So you need to clear the 210. If you don't clear the 210, this could easily just come right back down towards the 205 and the 200. Earlier this week, I was looking at 220s coming back here towards the 200. So that's still in play. And I think eventually you're going to get a move down to 180 in Tesla, especially if we get a downturn in the market. So right now, I'm not for Tesla to the upside. I think this is still looking like a decline. And until they can turn things around or get us to the October Robotics Day, that's when things can get hot again. But for right now, it's not the time. It's late September, so at some point, you get some a change, right? You're getting into September, but at late September is when I think you'll start to see a run in Tesla. I think it's going to be a tough month, and October will be a better month for Tesla. All right, looking at that ATPC and look how it's now back to 256, guys. So opportunity was there to play it around the 9 EMA, but nothing that I'm going to play right now. It just seemed to me like something that was making a quick move, and we'll see what happens there. But definitely take a look at trade ideas, different scanners that you guys can be using, and there's some fun ones out there. I have there's flag patterns you can look at. There's Bollinger Bands. There's so many different patterns that you guys can be watching there. TOVX up there to 631s, now pulling back there. We'll see what happens with this one. Can it keep running? QNTM still kind of lagging on me, so just keeping a close eye on it here as we get closer towards the bell, guys. Really would love to see a run before the bell open. Would love to see it by 536. Wouldn't be mad about it, right? But we'll see what happens on it. All right, guys, taking a look at some other ones that you guys are mentioning. Let's keep it going. All right, how can you see it in the chart in the morning when it's just flat? What do you mean? I'm a little confused by that comment there. All right, let's keep going. I think today it will move up since it's down yesterday. That's something to think about with SMCI, I'm guessing. All right, you always use the 1 minute after 10. I'm used to the 2 minutes. So the truth is that what I would be looking at, and especially, is that Vic. So the way that I think about this, right, and you guys see it on this chart, right? I like to go to the one with these smaller movers, right? But really, the patterns that I feel like really drive things are 15 minutes and 1 hour charts. And I'll say this countless times, especially for the bigger movers, like let's say SMCI, a perfect stock, right? I look at the 15 and hourlies to tell me what's going on there, right? Because the 1 minutes are not going to help me in these higher price names. In the smaller names, I understand why you're in the 1 minute or 2 minute or the 3 minute chart, because you're trying to get a trade that probably lasts 5 minutes, 3 minutes. And so it's all about your time frame. And you'll hear traders mention this. They say, what's your time frame in your trade? And it's so important because it could determine what chart you're using, right? If I'm trying to be in a trade for an hour, I'm probably going to use the 15 minutes to cut that hours into 4 slots. And then looking at that to ride that 15-minute wave, right? If the 15-minute waves keep grinding higher, that tells me that I can hold it for about 1 hour and take the money. These are things that you can be thinking about. Time frame is very important. If you're only expecting to hold a stock for 10 minutes and you're using the hourly chart, probably not the same mentality, right? It's not going to help you, right? That's what the faster charts are for. It's for faster trades. Think about it that way. Shorter time frame, faster trades. Longer time frame, longer trades. It's as simple as that. Don't make it hard for yourself, guys. All right, let's keep going. Smash it up. Thanks for listening and showing my comment. Always. That's what it's all about. Stay here, man. I'll definitely catch from stocks to stocks. Of course, when I'm trading in the intraday market, sometimes I might have to take a little while to get to your stock, but I'm always going to take a look, and I'm always willing to take my assessment so that you can go ahead, compare it to your own, and then create your overall assessment of how you see things. Like always, I might be wrong, and majority of the times might be wrong, right? The truth is, that's how trading is. But you can learn from each other and thinking about, hey, how do you see it? How do I see it, right? And we can compare that. AJ, what's up out there? Out on X and able to actually put a comment in? I got to give you a shout out because there's so many people on X that don't know how to put in comments in the chat. So if you're watching on X right now, show me what you got. Show me that you can put a comment in here. A lot of traders don't even know how to jump onto a stream on X and put a comment. So shout out to AJ out there. Let's go. All right. I was saying how good you are able to read the chart very early in the morning when it doesn't have volume or moves. And the big thing on this is daily charts. So that's what daily charts are used for a lot of the times. That's why it's important to look at a daily chart sometime later in the intraday, closer towards, let's say, like 2 p.m. because you're close to the end of the day, right? And if you're close to the end of the day, take a look at the daily chart, how the daily chart could potentially close could really impact the way the stock is viewed the next day, right? So I think it's very important. Sometimes traders look at daily charts in the pre-market and they completely forget it in the intraday. Not the way that I think works. Because at the end of the day, you don't go back to the 15-minute chart. You look at the daily chart and see how the daily approach looked like. So I give tips where I can. All right, let's keep looking out there. SMCI will definitely be on watch. It will be traded a lot, but like I talked about, there's just too much risk there for me. And with that type of risk, there's other plays, right? There's just other plays. And a lot of times if I think to myself, if I'm just in a play that is what I call binary, where it's 1-to-1 and either can just fall a lot or just go up a lot, that's just gambling to me. That's the difference between gambling like without being smart. And it sounds bad, but it's not. I'm not trying to say that you guys aren't smart, but it's just like gambling without having edge, without having probability. And I'm always trying to have what? Probability on my side. Because I can't control what's going to happen, but I can look for probability. All right, let's keep going. Let's take a look out there. I work during trading hours and trade on my phone. Can trade the pool work for me? Random question. I got you, Andre. Where's my phone? You have no idea, Andre. I take trades on my phone all the time, man. Look, get our app right here. I'm signing in, guys. Signing in. And this is how I also keep up with my positions, right? Because I can't be at the trading desk the whole time, guys. I got some boys I gotta take care of them. So a lot of times I'll be taking a look at my trade positions right here. And that's how I get after it. And a lot of times that I even trade it right off of there, man. You could take trades right on there, man. And I know that this isn't the sexiest thing, but like even like the VIXI, I've made trades and scalps even right off my phone. So definitely keep up with the phone conversation. If you want to trade on your phone, there's still an opportunity to do so. The one thing that I will say though, if you are trading on the phone, remember that you might get some slippage unless you have really fast internet. So you want to go and trade probably slower in size and keeping the risk managed, right? But it's all up to you, Andres. Just wanted to talk about it really quickly and keep going. All right, let's go ahead. Let's see what else, man. The phone app is awesome. Can you add time frames on the app? You can do so many things on the app, man. The app also has this one thing that I would give you guys an advantage on. When you go to the charts, and it's 9:25, so I'm all right here. When you go to the charts, go to the settings, right? And then you're going to go to the settings. It's going to be on the right-hand side. And I think it's very important to look at the spread type. Go to spread type and click line with price. Line with price is going to show you the ask and the bid right on the chart. And I think this is such a good thing to see because you'll see the last price, you'll see the offer and the bid. This is what helps me close trades on the phone. And a lot of times, let's say if I want to close the trade, I'm going to throw it on the bid side. Let's say if I'm long, I'm throwing it on the bid side. If I'm short, I'm throwing it on the offer side, right? It's going to go ahead and maybe give me a little less profit, but it's an ability to use it. I definitely tell you guys to get the app. If you don't have the app already and you have a Trade the Pool account, I really don't know why. Because let's say if your internet goes down, right? Your internet on your computer goes down. I'm not going to go and try to fix it here. I'm going to just switch to my phone and protect myself, which is way more important, right? All right, guys, let's keep going. Let's get to this market open. I'm still down about 20 on this QNTM. I'm just looking at it. And really, it's at this point where sometimes you're going to take some trades where it's just about the setup now. I really don't even care about the stock. I'm just looking at the setup, and we'll see how that turns out, right? That's what it's all about sometimes, guys. QTNM. We'll see what happens on that one towards the bell here. We got about 4 minutes left. Let's see if this bad boy can really kind of make a little run to 540s, 560s. And then once it runs to 540s, that's when I want to add to this thing. right now is not the time. All right, guys, let's get ready for the bell here. You guys know where you're at. It's Trade the Pool. Get that energy up. Let's go, team. I've had a great week, so be careful out there, traders, the same way that you should be careful on a Friday. I feel a lot of traders get to this point on Friday where they're like me, probably a little bit in a risk aversion state. And that's okay. You got to catch yourself when you're in that, because what I'm thinking about is, okay, I just don't want to open up too much risk today. Why? Because I've had a great week, had great hard work. Don't want to ruin all my hard work, so I'm going to get after it, but also keeping things in mind. One of the number one things that you always got to keep in mind when you start to do this is just keep the risk to reward the same way that you've been coming after it, and that's what's going to keep you in the green. I'm going to keep trying to work on one habit that I've been continuing to work on, which is what? Starting small, and then when my trade goes to the winning side, then going bigger, right? Because if it's small at the losing part, that can go ahead and give me an advantage. All right, guys, 928, really starting to see this start to move. So I've got to focus in on QNTM here. And of course, if you guys out there are seeing the market action, the market was coming down and it's right back up towards the VWAP. That's going to be something to watch out the gates. Will we get Soxel just to take off? A little part of me sees upside potential right now as we're starting to take off here and look at NVIDIA start to push. So right now, I take a look at Yin. This is one that I talked about yesterday that could keep pushing today. JD was one that was moving in the pre-market. We'll look to see if this starts to get a lift there, and we'll watch to see what happens in different areas in the market. Definitely for right now, tech getting a little bounce back, so you could look at like SMH here out the gates. We'll see what happens. It's 9:29. Time to get ready here. Time to get after it, team. Focus on execution, like always. It's the most important thing here. Let's do it, team. All right, to start it off, I'm just going to have it on market just in case I need to mark it out. And it's okay if I need to mark it out here, out the gates here. Like always, I can get back into a name. What I can't do is get wrecked. All right, let's get ready here, guys. It's about to be 9:30. We got about 30 seconds here. Trying to link the windows, and I think this is an important tool. If you guys don't do this already, you go to external linking on the trade, on the apps, on trade ideas, and you can link the trade the pool, and I can go ahead and link here my TC chart. So if I click on anything here, it actually changes my trade the pool chart right to this stock. So if I click here on BBIO, it actually changes my trade the pool chart. That's what I love. All right, let's get after it here, guys. Let's see what we can do. QNTM to start it off. BBIO getting a nice little lift out the gates. That's one that I'd keep an eye out. Now I'm up above here towards the 518s here in the green here for QNTM. We'll see what happens here. If it can start to make a move here and get above the 520s. I'm at 520s. I'm still red. Let's see if this can really get the little jump here. Watching it out there, out the gates, I'm seeing Leslie Pool Supplies making a move here. Interesting stock to see a little lift there. Leslie's Pool Supplies. TOVX, of course, showing up. LUNR, another one to definitely keep your eyes out there, guys. IMMR, a known runner, making a move out there also. So keep your eyes on these stocks. We'll see how things move today, guys. Seeing the cues first, quick pop, and then starts to drop there, guys. So be careful out there. We'll see what happens. I did see Tesla try to get through the 210 and then stop there. See if it gets to 211s and starts to drive. If you're looking at Tesla, 211s would be a good sign. It did, though, drive to 210s there. It's trying to hold the 210s right now. On the downside, what I'm seeing washing right now, I'm seeing Gap wash. Gap had earnings. It's taking a quick hit out the gates there. All right, guys, getting some alerts there. Getting some alerts as I start to get some stocks to move here. Let's go, team. Oh, my trade idea scanner just went down. Let's get it back up here. All right, let's go, guys. Let's see if this can really start to lift through the 520s and really start to make a move here. It's off the 515s. I'm not adding. Why? Because I'm not in the green, man, and I got to keep following to my golden rules, guys. Golden rules. VWAP is above, though. That's one thing that I'm looking to see if we take. AISP, another one that's making a move right now. This is Airship AI Holdings with a little push there above the threes. Keep your eyes on that one. We'll see if we get the move. Right now, I'm going to take a look into the sectors really quickly to see what's going on here. Sectors overall, energy leading to the upside. Utilities right behind that. Big push there in utilities. Basic materials also making a push. And what's moving up? I love gold, I tell you, gold. So looking at GOLD as we're starting to get a little lift here from the 20s. I was looking at this morning to watch to see if GOLD would make a nice little move on the daily chart. I love the hold. Would like to see it if it could attempt here towards the 20, but in this morning you went to 2010s. That might be all we get this morning as we start to see this climb back towards the VWAP. There's the VWAP. 2018s could go higher here. GOLD does not look bad at all here for the move higher. I don't mind it, man. I don't mind it. I think I'm already missing it here. It's towards the 1220s. We'll see what happens if it can make another move. AU is one that I also like when I trade gold. We'll see if this can go back towards the 3050s and hold the 30 pullback. It just undercut that. I always like those undercuts around the whole dollar spot to hold. Now I'd like to see this come back to 30, hold that 2990s, and then right back up. We'll see what happens. AU. QNTM. And of course, if you guys have any ticker you guys want to talk about, throw it up in the chat. Still watching this QNTM, waiting for the run. All right, guys, TOVX, let's go. I think NVIDIA is going crazy because they've been down and the earnings are amazing. I wouldn't say amazing. The earnings were good, but remember, it still has a high bar to reach. But the biggest thing is with that stock is that I don't see the uplift that some people see in that stock. It can go higher, but how much higher, right? That's the problem here. I think that a lot of people are still really optimistic about that. NVIDIA is down here right now, pulling back. We'll look to see if it catches the 118.50. The 119 area was one area that I was looking for pullbacks yesterday. If it rejects the 119s to recover today, watch out, guys. The downside could be coming in. That's why I'm watching the VIXI here. VIXI, of course, is your volatility reading, and I'm keeping a close eye on it. TOVX there, guys. How's that one doing? It got up there to 7, now turning back to the downside. So this stock has now made 1, 2, 3. Seems to me like this is the 4th move. I don't see too much more than this, but let's see what happens on TOVX. Nice biotech with a big push there today. 7s now starting to run into a little problem. AISP trying to take off to that $3 spot there. Doesn't look too bad on this one. See if it really makes a move or not. LUNR, Lunar, recovering that 591s. Now trying to recover VWAP. Can it get through 6 today? Nice looking daily chart. Nice looking daily chart on that LUNR. Pullbacks could be right around to this spot here. So I'd be looking for pullbacks at 566 to hold now, as you did undercut that on the recent downturn, right? You went to 557. If you come right back down there and then you start to turn things around, I'd be waiting to see if it can get back to that 566. Tesla, look at that, guys. Look at Tesla with the wipeout right around what level? 210, baby. 210. GovX mentioned in the chat. Not a bad one to take a look at. Tesla on the downside of things there. QNTM still hanging on by a thread here. Still hasn't made the move. But one thing is for certain. It's above the trend line. So now looking for this to kind of hold $5 on pullbacks. We'll see what happens if this can make the lift or not. It did do a spike there quickly towards 520s. Looking to see if this can finally get the movement. If not, back through 5s. And I'm out of here. Missing out on other trades because of this. So now I'm going to go focus to see what's going on. I'm seeing the Qs drop fast here, guys. So watch out for that. Definitely seeing that downside action. How's Macy's doing today, guys? I'm getting big in Macy's on the short side, guys. On the swing trade, I am big on it, guys. 600 shares on this bad boy. And for a second there, you could have got my entry, 1574s. We'll see if this starts to undercut. JWN, will this come down today? This is another one that I'd be looking at to see some downside come in. Yeah, it looks like a nice bullish chart that could turn back to the downside here. We'll see what happens in JWN if it rejects this 2250s today and then cuts down. That's the area to look for. We'll see it back through that 2250s. You got to be careful. All right, back to the day trade side of things. Starting to get the lift in QNTM. Nothing major, right? Nothing major right now, but watching it here, guys. Now I'm going towards the 525s, closer towards my entry, right? Offer is 523s. There we go. Now we're starting to lift here. Now I can take my shot off the fives here. Now the only question is, where do I add? I want to add below my entry here. It starts to go above my entry. So 523s, looking to see if this could pop there towards the 530s, and then I add into the 525s. I could also add right here, just looking for the move. We'll see what happens here. Let's go to the 1 minute since this is a smaller penny stock. Want to see it hold the pullbacks now. So hold the pullbacks to 510s and take off here. Good looking chart to see a nice little lift here. So nice little pullback there now towards the 1519s. Looking for the 1530s to show up there and then start to see this take off here. Doesn't look too bad at all here. The thing about this one, it does have a 10-cent spread, so keep that in mind. Right now, I'm still waiting, guys. Still waiting to see me get in towards the green because this could run to 7. So I don't need to overreact towards the ads just yet. All right, what's up out there, guys? AMD's looking back full green. Let's go, guys. BNRG halted on the way up. Let's go, guys. Love it, love it. Time to heat up the coffee. I like it, Jane. Take a second, come back, get after it. All right, let's go, team. Let's go. Let's change things up. You guys know where you're at. It's live trading right here. Getting after it, team. Let's go make that money. The spread on this thing going wide now. So that's why I'm not adding just yet, guys. I'm trying to be smart on this. BNRG, of course, you called it out there. It's there on the scanners. BNRG up there towards the 150s. That was a crazy little push there. AISP that was trying to break 3 and go to the next level. It just pulled back below 3. So it's an interesting name here. That's a decent amount of volume. We'll see what happens. Seeing a firm show up. Of course, yesterday's really strong stock. We'll see if that can continue to climb. Look at that move to 43. Big push there in a firm. That's a nice push there. Upstart probably moving with it. There it is, guys. These two stocks move very side by side. This is why it's so important to know what? To know what stocks have relationships with each other. Affirm and Upstart. Very similar stocks. They trade very similar. Jane, taking the advice and slowing things down, that's perfectly fine, man. And I think it's important too. Take a second, reassess, tell yourself, okay, so what am I seeing now from pre-market and what's the difference that I'm seeing now in the market? And remember, around 9:45 to 10 is a hot area where the market likes to do reversals. So I always keep that in mind. Tesla puts, well, I trade equities, so I can't really tell you about the puts. But I wish you guys the best. Let's go, guys. QNTM back down towards the 5, but look how wide the spread is now. 520s by 505s. That just tells me more and more how I just need to set a stop on the name like this. Let the 100 shares work. If it works, it doesn't. If it breaks down here, hey, so be it, right? So I'm just going to put a stop here at 495. We'll see if it makes the move. After that, I can just get off of it. I can go look elsewhere. Sometimes you need to do that. I set alerts here and I walk away, right? That's what I'm going to do here. There you go. Set the alert there. Worst comes to worst, I'd lose like 30 bucks, 40 bucks, and I just move on, man. There's other trades out there and I don't want to miss them. TOVX, let's go take a look at that one as a smaller name that's up there towards the 7, now starting to pull back to the 650s if you like that area. Leslie's Pool Supply, that was hot this morning. Taking a look at it right now for Scout for above 3s. It doesn't look bad here. 1 attempt, 2 attempts, 3 attempts. Could pull back here, but I see an up 1, down 1, up 2, down 2, up 3. Maybe a small pullback here, followed by a nice little rip. Could look for maybe 295 entrance. Scalp above on Leslie's towards 310s. Doesn't look too bad. Daily chart has a nice little move that it could come back towards resistance around 320s. So, hey, 20 cents upside doesn't look too bad for a scalp opportunity in Leslie's Pool Supply. Specialty retail that's been doing well, Best Buy, right? That had a monster move. And of course, that was on the playbook swing trade when it was down at 85. It's up to 100. We'll see what happens on this stock today. It did go to 102s. Could be pulling back a little bit there, but man, it was hot. BNRG should be opening up any moment here. There's the open up towards 160s. Looks like it keeps going there. 150 pullback opportunity. Looking for pullbacks if you're looking for this to keep going. Not a bad one there. AISP that was trying to break 3 just recovered 3. Let's see if it takes another move towards 320s. Not a bad one here to look for maybe a little scalp opportunity. BBIO, of course, was a big mover this morning. Now starting to recover. And this is not a bad one to watch, guys. This one's moving fast and strong. We'll see what happens on BBIO. And it had news, right? It had news out there. It gave out some data. I like pullbacks to 27s. And that's exactly kind of what you just reclaimed. So I'd be looking for pullbacks now coming back towards that 27 on a little bit of a 5-minute pullback here. Let's take a look here. Ooh, it just reclaimed that 27. So you see how this went above the 27s to 28s and then came back and held it? Now I like that area to hold 2680s, 27. This little bunch up area looks interesting. We'll see what happens there. BBIO. All right, looking around, guys. Q's coming right back up. So a little bit of some shake out the gates, and 9:45 coming really fast. So at this point, I'm watching it. What happens between 9:45 and 10 to give me a little bit of areas of where the stocks are moving. What are we seeing moving in the day? Well, I'm seeing out the gates. It was energy, utilities, and basic materials. Now basic materials is red from that. And I'm looking out to see some other action there. Just from the hour, what is moving? Utilities to the upside. Energy, red, industrials, communication, and basic materials. Those could be pullbacks as we're getting shakes up and down in the market. NVIDIA back up towards the 120s, 120-30s. Keep your eyes on that. Stocks out could be one way to play that if you feel the upside is the potential move today. Alert, alert. What just got alerted? Oh, QNTM wants to start moving, guys. All right, there we go. Now we're starting to move on this thing. Now we're in the 530s, so I'm looking for 525s on pullbacks to add here. See if I can get it here on a pullback. There's 525s. I'm going to put it out here on the offer here, trying to get filled at 525s in between the spread right now. Let's see if I get this fill. Pulling it down to the 520s off the bid now. I can always mark it in on the top end. All right, looking like some sizing coming in on the bid side. There was 5,500s at the 525s. There's another little wall here at 530s that we need to climb through, and then there's open air. So I'm just looking to see if we can break that 530 order, or at least I can see this go through there, and then I can get after it. Right now, it's acting like a little wall, which could pull it back towards the 520, be a little bit of a pullback entry. Tesla coming back to 209, just one to keep an eye out for. All right, guys, you guys keep trading, keep doing what you're doing out there. Make that money. Told you, NVIDIA's going parabolic. Don't worry about that. It's not about told you. Show me the money. That's what I want to see. What happens when you buy call options and you're in the profit and you don't sell the end of the day and it's still up? Do you lose all the money? Nah. If it's just a call, like a naked call, you get the stock. So if you don't understand that, I would definitely stop trading options. Not to hit you or anything, but I'm always going to call it and keep myself as transparent when I see things. I'm going to call red flag. If you don't understand that, you probably shouldn't be trading options. Just quickly going to say that. Because the important thing is understanding that, right? I have no money yet. No worries. Understand that though. Remember, the first part of the thing is understanding the game. The second part of the thing is actually trading the game. Short side WTI. We'll see what happens out there. Shane, you're looking at it. I don't know, man. I don't know if it's going to run or not, but I'll tell you one thing. I'm just trying to stay small here. All right, guys, it's pulling back, trying to fill me at the 520s. I'm going to actually go down towards the 515s here, 516s, because it's not giving me the entry. So instead of like just hanging out here, I always pull it back when I start to see no entry, no fills, right? So I'm trying to essentially get the bid to come down and the offer to just drop down to the bid, and then I can get the fill. Need to see the volume come in on this. If not, it's just not looking good. Still looking at other opportunities out there, but I'm not seeing too much. I'm seeing a lot of chop in the first like 30 minutes here. So with that being said, I don't need to overextend myself. I can go looking for trades. There is one trade that looks interesting for me, which is Gap. Gap on the fade here. So it's coming back to 2230s. Could just fade off and start to go red. And I was already looking at Gap to start falling here. So let me take a look at the weekly here. Yeah, this looks like a nice head and shoulders that break this and start to really start to crumble. So I kind of like this right now. Let me see if I can get after it. All right, so 2150s is kind of the target. So you're looking at 70 cents on the downside. Let me go for 150 here first, and then I'm going to look to add some towards the resistance. So the resistance is up here towards 2240s. So I'm looking at that as the approach, right? So I'm going to let this come back here towards the 2240s, 2250s, and then I can add some more short, but starting a little short position here in Gap. QNTM, got to go looking at that and making sure that I'm just safe in that position. So that's the important thing there. And looking at other trades to see what I can get after. QNTM, let's go. All right, so I have Gap to my right-hand side. I have QNTM to my front side right here, looking at it, see what's happening. Now I'm seeing the spread tighten up. That's actually a good outlook. And of course, it's on the 529s. So looking to see if the 529s can start to get hit here. And then I can try to add here and try to get a nice little entry. So I still got the limit out there. So I'm actually pulling it back just in case it does a little bit of a pullback off of this. I'm closer towards 510s. I still got my stop out there at the 494s. I'm actually canceling that stop right now just because it's just sitting out there. If it starts to come back towards 5, of course I can put it out, but I don't like to have them sitting there because that's how I easily just get targeted. Leslie, for the scalp above 3s, we're getting an opportunity here to the 295s. Now the only question is, will it make the move? 1, 2, 3, 4 attempts here. Should make that move up above that. Breaking through the 290s now. Don't look good here. Leslie's for a scalp. Man, I don't take these too often, but let's try one, guys. Let's try one here. I'll try a smaller one, right? A smaller one is 500 shares. A bigger one for me would be 1,000 shares. So I'd have to hold here off of the kind of the 3 level. The 290s would be the risk. Looking for the pop through 3 towards like kind of like the 320s. Or 310s, that'd be the scalp here on Leslie's. Since I'm in 2 trades, I'm just gonna wait because scalps are really like high focus trades. And right now I don't have that energy and time to focus on Leslie's. So do I like it? I like the trade. I'm not gonna take it though. I'm gonna hold myself back there. Looking at gap starting to come down there. That actually looks good as it starts to break back to the downside. Rejection of that 2240s. Now we get a rejection there. 1, 2, 3 times. I like that. Now it starts to break and it could head towards that 2150s here. So I'm actually looking to add on gap now. All right, bounces on this. I'm going to look to add. Look at like 38s for an ad. Put it out right now. Going back to QNTM. This doesn't want to break through that 529 where it needs volume. Canceling my limit ad. There's no point in adding down here because the truth is if it doesn't rip towards that 530s and 540s, it's not going to 7 anyways, right? And so on this outlook, I'm looking for a bigger move. If it doesn't want to make the bigger move, just got to get out, right? Just got to get out. And right now it's not making the move. And I'm at the point where I'm just holding towards my original risk and return, which is a very small, tight risk to return. Risk and a bigger return. So that's just what I'm going to hold to right now. Shouldn't see this break like 510s. So I'm going to have here $5 already set of risk, 2250s. If it gets me out, it gets me out. If it goes up through the 540s and just starts ripping, then I'll start looking to add. I'm going to go focus on gap, which is now into the green. Because this one, I wouldn't mind taking it down. I feel like it's a nice little setup. All right, starting to come down already is gap. On this last drive is where I really want to start to hammer things, especially once it turns to the red side. All right, what's up out there, guys? How we doing? Done trading? Hey, take that money and run, baby. Hey, love to hear it. Love to hear it. You came over from the Benzinga side of things. Hey, that's what it's all about. Have a good day, Par. That RR is a wild one. Very shaky. Yeah, the shake and bake on that one. The rich tech. Rich tech. All right, guys, looking around, the Qs are making a little bit of an up move towards the 475.80s, and it's getting towards that 10 o'clock time. So I'm going to look to see if we get a reversal around 10 o'clock. If that doesn't happen, then I can start to play the upsides. So that's what I'd be looking for. So do we get some turn down? That's what I'd be watching. We'll see what happens. Gap bouncing a little bit here. Ready to come after this thing, to tell you the truth. Gap. Time to gap down, baby. We'll see what happens out there, guys. QNTM looks like it wants to come back to stop me out. It could stop me out at any moment. I'm just letting that thing work. And why let it work? Some people would probably tell me just to cut it $5, but if I took the trade, a lot of times I try to just stay to the objectivity of the trade and just stick to the risk and return as long as that makes sense. And in this case, the risk is about $25, $30, maybe $20, and the reward is 100 or 200. So that makes sense for me. Might get my ad fill here in gap. There's the Qs looking like they want to turn a little bit. It's a quick little downside action. So I'm looking at success here. There's 1, 2, 3 bottomings on success. I'm going to look for one more cut down through the 22 and then look for the spike. All right, got some alerts set there for success. We'll see when that starts to get the lift or not. BBIO back to 27. So you get your opportunity to get after that stock again. Now the only question is, will it head right back towards the 28s? Interesting play there. AISP, did that ever break 3 and make another level? Yeah, it did go up there. It was a nice little scalp opportunity on AISP. Leslie's was a scalp opportunity also. How did that one work out? Nice little push there towards the 305. So had the opportunity there, the 295s, to take this scalp back towards the 305. And you guys heard me. I didn't take it because I was in 2 trades already, but the trade was there. The setup was there. And you could be taking profits right into this 305, maybe towards the 310s or the 320s. Remember our rule here on Trade the Pool. We got to hold it for that 1 minute, get the 10 cents. But the trade was there, right? It was a nice little trade there. Hope somebody was able to obtain that scalp. How's Intel doing there? It's showing up on the scanners. It was hot early. Is up there towards the 2175s. We'll look to see if it continues some strength. Gap going back to the green here now. Starting to see Gap start to reject there. And I didn't get the fill into the 30s there. So now I start to look to see if I get a fill here above my entry. Looking like it wants to break right back down through the 18s here. Let's see if we can get it. So now you're kind of getting what I call the VWAP fake out fade, right? So you've had now 3 attempts to break out back above the 2240s. If you fail one more time, that's when I start to hammer down. That's the rule of 3, and I'll start getting strong after it. Breakdown below this is also something to look for red side continuation. All right, success alert there on the downside of success. That means Qs are going to the upside. Now I could grab like 100 shares of success, risk like maybe 20 or 30 bucks, and then look for the spike back to 2230s. But really what I need to see is I need to see the Qs start to slow down there near the high and then come right back down. So there's 2 ways of approaching it. It's right now through the 22s or wait for the spike back at 2230s, and that's on success here, guys. I'll show you guys that setup right here. So you see how it's coming back through the 22s, and I see 1, 2, 3, 4 types of bottom attempts here, and to look for the turnaround. Especially if you look at the 15-minute, you want to see support all around this area. And where do you see the support? Right here. This is called the undercut and rally type of trade. So you're undercutting through the support, and now you're going to look to see if it rallies back towards the 2230s. So it needs to come back really quickly. So this 5-minute candle, I'd pay attention to it. 5-minute opened at 2206, recovered 2206, and the candle goes green, right? So take a look at that action. Wait till you see it go back towards the green, and then it's going to be an interesting play. That's what happens there. QNTM stopped me out, guys. It went back down to 5, but like a stop hunt where it wicks there and then could come back up through 530s later. I'm not going to stress about it. Lost $23. Get out of that. Move on. Let's move, baby. Literally no stress on it. Let's go look at Gap. All right, Gap just tried to make the move back through the 2225s, just rejected towards the 2212s. I like this now. I'm looking to go ahead and add towards it. All right, 2210s now showing up here. I'm getting after it, guys. 200 shares short there now. Looking for a breakdown back towards the 2150s and little spikes back up here. I can add a little bit more. Looking for a breakdown now. 2209 showing up there. It's starting to head back towards the 22s. That's a good level here. Adding a little bit more, guys. Now I got 2212s, 450s. Looking for this to really break through the 22s, going towards the 2170s and 2150s. Let's see if I get Gap on the downside today. There's no trading on Monday. Yes. We finally get some weekend, long weekend, guys. So we'll see what happens. All right, there's the cut down towards the 2195s. Looking good here as we start to cut down here. Looking for the first move towards the 2180s here. We'll take half off there, guys, as I look to start to try to get some gains here. So pulling a limit order down there towards 2190s. We could break through the 2180s here. Let's see if I can get one more attempt down here. Start to see this start to break down here. All right, looking at where my profit takes are going to be, the big one is towards like 2150s. But right now, I'm just looking at the action here. See if we can break through this 2180s. There we go. Nice looking trade there. Now we start to get towards the 100s here. So looking for another little break here, and I'm going to take half off of it. Let's go. Let's go. Get another little cut down here, and then I'll mark it out on some of it. There's a little bounce there. There's two ways to approach this now. I can just run towards the 100. I really don't want to see this get back through my entry now. I'm just looking for the breakdown through the 2180s. The Qs are making an up move. I will tell you guys that Tesla breaking to the upside above towards 211s is something important to watch. Look for NVIDIA to lead. Qs are leading. So it could be a bull's day, at least from what I'm seeing, bull's day. But I'm trading this to the short side. So I'm going to focus on this. But I'm always going to tell you guys what I see in the overall market. I see the bullish action happening off of that right now. All right, gap coming back here. A little part of me is like, man, maybe you just didn't get big enough. But we'll see what happens here. I'm just trying to let it work down. Normally, profit take is this 78, right? The 78 or the low of the day is the first profit take, and then looking for the expansion move. Lately, I've been playing a lot of ranges and trying to sell it into the range. So that would be selling it into this 2170. But I'm looking for the breakdown towards that 2150s that could go lower towards like 2120s on the hourly. If you look at the hourly, we were back down towards 2078 just recently. And I think we could come back towards these levels today at some point. So I got to be patient on this one to see the move actually break down through that 15-minute low, which is 2168, and then real breakdown happens. All right, if it comes back to the VWAP, that's around 2207. I can actually hold on that. It could reject this 2216 and then come right back down. So just got to always understand where the danger zone is. Danger zone is back through 2230s. Qs are going higher. That's pushing some stocks. That's pushing SMH. So keep your eyes on that. And you can start to take a look to see if some tech names just take off. AMD with a nice little push there. Let's go to the hourly approach here. Utilities still leading. Where's tech? Tech is still down essentially in the last hour and from the open. So look to see if that starts to change. Look to see if you start to see some certain names lead. That's what I'd be kind of looking for right now. I'm taking a look at it. Let's see here. All right, let's see what's leading in the Qs. ARM, Intel, CrowdStrike. So those are some names that are interesting that are leading. Walgreens Boots Alliance is having a decent day there. GFS, AVGO, PanW, Zscaler. So it looks like some cybersecurity companies getting a nice little lift there. Gap still just hanging out here. It got close to that 2180s. Could have maybe taken that $100. That's what was available to me there. But we'll see what happens here. It's back towards the 2112s, right where on my entry. We'll see if this starts to break down. Of course, original entry for me was around the 2218s. So that's the real kind of level that I'm looking at here. And that's why it's important to try to add at the right spots, because it's giving me the ability to hang out here on this bounce back versus if I added too big down there towards, let's say, 2180s, and then I'd be at 2190s already in the red deep. That's not what I wanted to be. I just want to give myself the potential here for the nice big win. Could add here another add, right? That's another option. I'm looking for the cut down back below 22s for that add. So let's say if it goes back towards 2198s, I don't mind taking another add. Always got to be ready to get out if I need to. There's the Qs taking a little bit of a pullback approach. Trying to give you a little bit of a pullback opportunity there if you want to take it. Gap bouncing back here towards the 2219s. Not what I want to see, but I'm looking for the rejection of that trend line. Let's see if it rejects that and comes back down. You could get a wick to 2225s. I'm not going to freak out until we close above 2230s. That's when it's like, oh, okay, be careful there. What's up out there, guys? How we doing? Wisdom, have a good one. Take care always. Future Day Trade, how we doing, man? Wisdom. All right, guys, let's keep it going. Let's see what else is working out there. All right, this Gap giving me ooh, there's success, guys. There's success giving a nice little jump there. So I'm going to keep watch on Gap. It could bounce a little bit here, but I'm going to go looking at success, guys. There's that jump right through. It did that 22 cut down, now pulling back here, giving me the opportunity. If I want to take success, this is a chance here. Now the only question is, will we get the breakdown on the day? Looking for an undercut below the 2230s or 2220s here for long on success, but might not get it here. So might have to just step up in success and try to grab it here. Of course, you guys saw the trade that I was talking about just earlier. So I'm looking to see if I can get a move back towards like 2210s here. Q's still hanging up at the top. It's not a hard breakdown, so just be careful out there, guys. It seems to me like this is just a little bit of chop, and it's trying to decipher through the move. So getting off the success right now, there's an opportunity there, but I'm not seeing just reactions, and I just got to be careful here, trying to bet too early in the day and then not getting it, right? So that's what it is right now. I feel like the market's trying to get people to trade and trade a lot right now. And so instead of trying to trade through the chop, I'm trying to wait till I get true direction and then I can trade. Gap, still in gap here, looking for the downside action to continue here. Let's go back to 22 and take that out. Then we can go back to take out the 2180s. Let's go. That's why I'm not adding right here, because I'm right off my entry and I need to see myself start to go back into a good green position to take that add. What's up out there, billionaires? Get that money, man. Let's hunt that success trade. Hey, it's available. All right, guys, a lot of you guys tuning in on X, do us a favor, guys, on the stream that you guys are watching, just hit the like button. That'll show me that you guys appreciate what I do and taking a look into different stocks, different things in the market to give you guys perspective. Like always, smash the like, guys. Let's see if Tesla flushes down here. It keeps rejecting the 210. So I talked about how important this level is for both bulls and bears. This 210 is so important. Tesla could reject this 210 and come all the way back down towards 207 and 206 here. That's why a little part of me is short, but it's above V short. So it's nothing that I want to jump into right now until I get the Qs to really give me direction. But look how the Qs are pulling back there. They could flush down at any moment. Then success takes off through the 2230s. So I talked about how that trade made sense through the 22s on an undercut, looking for the rally back through 2230s. We're right off of that spot now. Now the only question is, do I want to take the success trade? That's the only thing I got to consider. What I'm going to do is I'm going to let the success trade work here and show me the pop. And then I can start looking for the VIXY pop. VIXY's back towards 11, a very important support. But all of a sudden, if the Qs take a downturn and if the success takes a huge up rip, then I can start to look to see if VIXY makes an up move. Gap is trying to stop me out here, but it's just coming back towards the trend line. It's trying to hit that fourth approach here towards the 2230s. Really, it can spike here, go to 2240s. So you got to keep that in mind. I'll show you guys my chart straight from right here on Trade the Pool, so you guys can see how I'm drawing it here and really looking at it. So you can see how this trend line approach here, it comes right towards this 2230s here. So now I need to kind of keep a really close watch on it. And the number one thing that we don't want to do a lot of the times is get stuck too much in the middle. Right here, I'm getting stuck in the middle. And so a little part of me is just weary, but understanding that, okay, still risk to return, still in reach here. Even if I risk up there towards, let's say, the 2250s, that's going to be about 170. Really looking at more like the risk right here towards like 2240s. It's around the 130, 140 range. Not a bad risk to return. Now you always got to understand what's the target profit, right? Like what are you going to get on the return side? If you can break the 2180s, which is what I see going down towards the 2150s, that's a 281. So not too bad, around 150 for like close to 300, right? Those are the types of things that I want to be thinking about. 140, 280, 2-to-1 outlook, essentially. We'll see what happens on this. All right, Success trying to make that move. The SPY just kind of hanging out here. We'll keep watch. Tesla down move there. Tesla really rejected that 210 again and then started to head back towards the 209s. So I could short 209 off the 210s on the kind of the swing trade outlook. That's not a bad outlook there. We'll see what happens on Tesla. That's another approach I could do. I can swing trade on these, right? I could take a look at like some Macy's short ad. I could go and long on, let's say, Success for the swing today and take a swing on that. We'll see what happens here, guys. But just talking about it, right? I'm not taking the trade right now. Trying to get the market to play out a little bit here. Gap getting a little bit of a push there towards the 30s. So I'm just keeping a really close eye on it. All right, guys, let's keep it going. What's up out there, guys? Time to short Tesla if it breaks 208. It's not a bad one. Mitch swinging Duke. Nice staircase up. We'll see if it does the elevator down. We'll see what happens on that Tesla. Will we get that rejection? Nvidia pulled back fast too. Nice little inverse head and shoulders there on Success, pushing towards the 2230s, now 2240s. There's the spike in Success towards the 2245. Could start seeing some downside in tech off of that. And we could go after that Tesla short. You know, I don't mind it, right? Let's go take a look at that Tesla short. Let's see if I can get a little bounce here. Let's do 50 shares here. Don't mind risking about 50 shares here. Trying to get this to bounce a little bit. All right, there you go. Boom, just hammered down 50 shares on the swing. Swing side of things. Let's see if I added like another 30 or 40. It needs to be in the red. I'm not going to add it into the green here. I'll let it just drop. All right, let's see if it takes out the 208 right now. If it comes back, it takes out that 211 on the upside. So always got to understand what your risk is. If I'm risking up to a 211, I'm risking about 80 bucks right now. So I'm going to risk about 90 towards 211.16. We're back down through the 209s. That looked good there for some downside to really kind of leak in here. And I could add to this position, right? There's no reason why I can't, but I'm not going to go too crazy with Tesla. I always feel like I go too crazy with Tesla too quickly, and then I get wrecked. So I'm going to take it simple. This is a swing in the swing account. So I might even keep this overnight. We'll see what happens there. All right, going back towards the day trade side of things, focusing on Gap. It did do that blow off top type of look. I like that approach that now you've been through that high 1, 2, 3, 4 times. Back through that, I need to get out. So if it goes through that 2233s, I need to get out anyways. If it comes back through 22s, I got a nice trade on here. So at this point, I can even add to the trade through the levels of 2210s. So that's going to be the level that I do add, like maybe another 200 shares. I don't mind that. So I'm going to go ahead and set a stop there. we're going to do a stop limit, right? So stop limits, of course, are interesting order forms, as you can go ahead and put a trigger and then where you want it to really fill. If I'm at 212s, I'll fill at 212s, but I want to see it cut 210s, 2210s. So actually I'll put 2208 and then 212s. Gives me a little room. So it needs to cut that 208 and then it'll give me a limit order and put out one for short right around my entry. Let's see if it comes down to that spot, hits that 208, 2208s, then fills me, that comes down for the breakdown. Intel overall, let's see how that one's doing. Intel pulling back to the 2150s. So you get an opportunity if you think things are going right back to the upside here. Like always, doesn't mean that the Qs are breaking down. It does mean that they're going to the VWAP attempt here. Now the question is, does it go right back to 477? Keep your eyes on that. Back through 477 and you catch some of the bears trying to get too big too quickly, and then SOX is right back down. So you see how SOX is on the VWAP? It's very similar to the Qs. It's just a different trade. That's why I always say there's two trades on every trade. All right, so hey, for the gap, it touched 3 times your 9 EMA to go to the downside. Play fake out for one more time. Yeah, that's essentially the look now on gap. It should break down. Now I wouldn't want it to kind of close above this 9 EMA, right? Because then you make the what? 1, 2, 3, 4, and that's the 5th attempt to go through that 2230s. We shouldn't see that. That rejection should hold. So essentially, I shouldn't see too much volume or even moves above this 2232s now. You can see wicks there, but really what we're looking to see this is go red. So this opened at 2219s. Let this go back to red through 22s would be the downside break. Back through these levels, you can see how you're starting to just approach the break to the upside, which is the 2250s. And you can always come back to this trend line, this resistance here, this 2242s. Hit that and come back. So you got to be careful for wicks. That's what I'm getting right now. A wick attempt back towards 2250s. If it hits 2250s though, we got to get out. So just got to get ready here just in case I need to just jump out here. Seeing definitely that breakout attempt. I'm getting out that stop that I was talking about earlier, and I'm just focusing to get ready to get out if I need to. Try to keep to the risk and return. That's what matters. So Tesla is back towards that 210. If I could see the Qs really break down, I could go back to the swing and add to that. Getting that 2240s look now. You can see you're trying to drive back right now in gap. The question is, will it reject? It's looking good earlier. So the big thing is going to be, can we get back down below the VWAP? Holds 2240s here, even closes up past 2233s. Like right there, you see how you kind of came down now? Now back to that 42 is a dangerous area. Dangerous area for me. So I got my hand ready to go around the 2244s to drop the stop, but I'm holding it. I'm not making it active just yet. Tesla chomping around that 210. So important, that level. SPY heading down, SOX heading up. That could cause now the VIXI trade to come into play. So I want to take a look at the VIXI. SMH coming down fast there. VIXI still around 11. I'm waiting to see a spike towards 1106, and then the spike could come towards 1115. Keeping an eye on the market today, guys. And if I lose on this and I lose, let's say, towards the 170s, 200 is the max risk today. Well, I'll still stay in the green about 400 for the week. And that's all that matters, man. At the end of the day, for me, it's all about just risk to return and keep playing the weeks. It's not about trying to play the hero. Really, that's what it's not about, guys. All right, so we just got that wick attempt to break out, and then it came right back down. So now I can start taking a look here. The 2245s even show up, and I just got to get the out. It's a nice rejection there, but now it needs to actually make the down move back and break the support. Break that red line and close below that red line is what I'm looking at now. Success, big push there, 2250s. That's a good outlook to start seeing more downside in there. 2260s now. And remember, we're looking at that success there closer towards that 22 entry. This would have been a nice one there, towards even just that. So now Tesla rejects that move. Looking actually pretty interesting there on that Tesla. Let's see what happens as it starts to break down back through the 209s there. That actually makes me feel a little bit more confident about stepping up to the plate here in the swing side of things. So let me add another short there opportunity here, size on Tesla here. See if it can get back above the 209s here and I can short it some more. It hit it for a second. There's 209s, 07s, 209.10s. I'll add to it, guys. I'm taking a little bit more of Tesla there. Oh, you serious? It only added 1 share. I thought I had the 30 shares already ready there. Ooh, running out of buying power here. All right, well, I got 5 more. I got a couple more. Risk is going to be set there back towards 210s, 210.40s. So $60 in risk. Looking for a big breakdown back below, let's say closer towards like the 205 level. That'd be about 242 today on a swing. All right, back to it, back to it. Back to gap. Gap still looking good. I just got to hang out, man. I just got to hang out. SPY downside action comes in now, looking for the VIXY pop. There's the move towards the 1106 like I just talked about. I'm going for a VIXY scalp here, guys. This is going to be the danger area where I start to open up too much, right? So I got to be careful with trying to open up too much on the risk side of things. I got gap, right? But I do want to take the VIXY trade. Got to be careful that the market doesn't break down here and it just bounces. But looking at the VIXY trade right now, and it'd be off the 11, if not that downside action that we just got towards the 98s. So that's one thing to keep in mind. How can I go at it with a risk that even if I lose, I'm not going to turn around and be extremely upset, right? That's what matters here. So around 150 risk for gap. I'm going to take $100 risk here for the VIXY. So I'm going to go with 500 shares first and then look to see if I can get some more towards like 1101s and then look for a spike here towards 1110. Big thing is the SPY needs a takedown candle. The next candle needs to go towards like 560s and show me that you just want to take things down. All right, guys, just grab that entry there for the VIXY. Now looking for pullbacks to add a little bit closer towards the 1102s, 11. And then we'll hold towards the low of the day there. Could put out 11s. That's not a bad one there. So I'm not going to put it out there. I'm just going to have the trigger ready to go and to order it. So if I get the pullback, I'll probably jump on it. Let's see what happens here, guys. Focusing on gap is starting to squeeze on me, guys. So we've got to go focus on that as it starts to push there. 2250s right back up here. Ready to get out on gap, guys. Back below, and there's the candle that I was looking for. Success with a nice rip towards 2270s. Boy, oh boy, the success trade wouldn't have been bad. I need to jump up on this VIXY trade. So I set the stop there in gap. Now I need to go focus on the VIXY trade because I do want to add to it. 500 shares. If I can get my entry again, I will take the entry. So 1104s or 1103 here. That's what I should be adding. I'll put the 1104s right back out. So just trying to get a small little pullback there to add here. And if I need to, I can jump up. Tesla did cut down that 209. It's going to be a big level to watch now if we can get this next candle to go towards the 560s in the SPY. SPY did break down a little bit there. There's the 1104s coming on the bid. So I'm putting it back right now on the 1103s to give myself a penny or two of upside that could come into the SPY. But watching at the SPY to see if we really break down here. Big level is going to be watching if we can go through the 560-30s, going towards the 560s today. That's the big breakdown. Looking at NVIDIA to give me a little bit more of a sign. NVIDIA is down to 119. Big level to watch for on NVIDIA is 119. Will it break? Will it make the next move? We'll see what happens there, guys. I'm all in on the VIXI. That's all I can do now. I got the 1,000 shares. Now I'm going to be watching to make sure that the risk doesn't go through my 100. So what would that be? That'd be 94s. That's through the low of the day right now. We'll see what happens there in the VIXI. All right, now just got to make sure that I have trades and ready to get out if I need to, right? Watching gap here. All right, watching gap that it doesn't get back through 2243s. That's the big level to watch. It could have just been a blow off top there. There's the 1101s coming back on the VIX. Got to be careful with the market just jumping, right? So that's what I'd be watching to see if the market just jumps up here. The Qs overall back down towards the 474s. SOXS did make a move back towards the resistance. Now, do you break the resistance or do you pull back? That's what I'd be looking at here. Did make that move to 2279s. Talked about it from the 22s. So that was a great trade right there. Someone could have made some really good money on that by itself. So we'll see what happens out there. Getting after it today. Not a bad day. Mitch, look at that SMCI. Yesterday I had 2 contracts puts and got out. Grr, get that money, man. Get that money, Vic. I'll tell you one thing, man. If you can trade options, shout out to you, because that's one thing that I cannot do. I'll tell you guys right now, I've tried it plenty of times. I've done it. Just hasn't turned out for me. I even took courses in college based on it, and still just doesn't give me the advantage that I look for there. All right, getting a spike there in gap. It's about to get me out, guys. I'm looking at it right now. It's at the 2247s, about to just spike there. 2250s, still rejecting. Looking to see what happens here. But, man, it's just hanging on by a thread here in gap. Spread is widening out too. And it just comes right back down. So, like, it's just playing with me right now. It's playing with me, guys. It's playing with me. We'll see what happens there in gap, but definitely not feeling as confident as I was earlier. So what I do is I got to go into a tighter time frame and check the rule of 3. So there's an up 1, down 1, up 2, down 2, up 3, and then that's why you try to get that push. So now I look at a little bit of a deeper time frame. Let's go to the 5-minute, and you can see here how you're trying to hold this 2240s as support now. That is not good outlook as that's prior resistance. So just got to keep that in mind here, that you could get the spike back through this 2253s, and that's really the spike there that squeezes us out on the day. We'll see what happens here. It's right off of that. Right off of that, guys. So at least I've kept myself small enough that I'm able to hold into here, and it's 200 risk. 200 risk is like my max risk. Really trying to keep it towards more 150. I've talked about that, and why it's important is that a lot of the times my big wins are towards 300, 400, not $1,000 just yet. We'll get there. We'll get there, but just taking it slow. All right, guys, I've lost a few $100, a few $100,000s on options. Going back to the options, I have money for sure. That's where the money is, Mitch. I was not good fan of puts back then. Yeah, I mean, to tell you the truth, man,
It's just options. You're playing with multiple variables, right? You're playing with theta decay. You're playing with premium. You're got to understand complex strategies that are going against you. I think the options are for more with people that have like an insane buying power so that you can do more complex options than just naked calls and naked puts. And I think that at the end of the day, options are probably best for hedging than to actually take positions. Yes, it can bring you a nice reward, but it could also just cost you a lot. Every time that I took kind of those option setups, it just didn't work out for me, guys. And I'm not saying that it can't for you. I'm just saying that at the time being, I think it's something that you think about, but not something that I go after right now. All right, guys, a lot of action definitely to focus on. Let's take a look around. I'm taking different trades. Not seeing much, but I'm seeing the Qs come back here. It's definitely in that point where it's like either the Bulls or the Bears can win here. It's in the middle. Let's see what happens. Comes back through like this 475 50s, and you start to squeeze, and there you go, right back up on NVIDIA. And so watch for it, guys. It's very similar. You got trades right now. Either you're feeling bullish or bearish. That's the idea here. Now, if you're feeling bullish, NVIDIA off the 119 makes sense. If you're not, then through that 119 could be where it actually lets go. We'll see what happens. Leslie, of course, we were looking at that one for a scalp through 3. It eventually made a move to 308. Didn't make a huge move. It's back through 3, trying to push higher. We'll see what happens on that. Scap back to 2238. And man, that's just how it's going to go today, guys. It's going to be one of those days where you got to hang on tight. Hang on tight, baby. Hang on tight, boys. All right, so I'm going to do what I've talked to Jane about reassessment. So I've been in Gap for so long, sometimes you can start to draw biases, right? And you can start to take a look at things and you're like, well, I'm being biased to the downside. Well, let's take a look. Let's reassess. 15-minute chart, not a smaller chart now. Just looking at the 15 minutes. Okay, I can draw a hard line here. This is where I really don't want to see things closing and where I see price rejection, right? So that's green side upside, right? Downside is going to be through this 2168. So that's kind of the range right now that the stock is in, right? And then I see a trend line approach, right? I see a trend line that it's hit before, which is right here. And this is going to be a good sign to look for the breakdown. We'll see if we get through there. Drew it in 3 different colors there so you guys can see my approach and the way that I'm looking at the stock. Now the only question is, what will happen? And there's 2 approaches here, right? So as the stock comes back to my entry around 2212s, some things that I've been working on are downsizing in big risk. This risk wasn't really a big risk. A big risk would have been like, I talked about it. I want to risk about $200, right? Let's say if for some reason on this trade, I was down at some point, let's say down 300, it would definitely be a moment to risk off. So sometimes you can protect yourself by when the trade comes back to your entry, you just lower down the risk. Let's say if I'm in at 450 shares, I could take off, let's say maybe even 300 and I'm back to 150. 150 gives me more than that risk to 2250s. So then you have to add those shares back on the breakdown though. Like if you get the trade going back in your direction, you can size in it again. This is what algorithms love to do, in and out of the trade. That's where majority of your retail traders like us, right, are not going to be able to be quick enough to make these types of trades. You can do it. You just got to be really sharp on your decision making. Options buying is like buying a lion. You can handle it while making a killing. Otherwise, you will be eaten. Yeah. You can buy it and it will make you king, but then all of a sudden you get eaten. Yep, that's exactly the situation with options. It's a hard trade, guys. It definitely is. All right, Gap back down to 2230s. At least takes a little bit of the pressure off, so I don't need to stress too much. I'm going to set an alert here if it gets back through, let's say 2237s, but really looking for the breakdown back through the 2210s, and that could be a nice area to add. All right, we'll see what happens on that. Let's keep it going. Let's take a look into the overall market because that's the important part here, guys. Look how this is starting to bounce back. this is a little bit concerning for the breakdown on my VIXI trade. So on VIXI right now, I'm at the 1099. I got to make that call now, right? Shouldn't see that break here through the 1098. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to keep it tight to that 1098 right now. It can hit maybe 1097, but 1096 gets me out. That's the way I'm going to take the approach. And what is that going to do? That's going to give me an ability to give this a chance to go ahead and break to the upside, but also keeping my risk in check. That's what it's all about. I've made some good money on this VIXI short or VIXI long. And now I got to be very, very strict on my risk, right? So there it is. We'll see what happens here in the VIXI. And if I do need to get out on this, the fun part is the liquidity is strong on this. So you can mark it in and mark it out when liquidity is that strong. And how do I know? Because it's a 1 cent spread with a lot of volume coming in and out on the level 2. So you see how there's 3,000, 2,000 here. Look at the difference compared to, like, let's say a company like, let's say VNet. You see how, oh, that one actually has some pretty good volume there on VNet. That's actually one to take a look at. AISP maybe. There you go. You see how the spread is not so, there's not so many volumes there. There's not so many levels there. Things like that, right? We'll see what happens. Can the VIXI start to make a pop? And what I could do now is I can actually add to this. If I was in the green for the day, like let's say if Gap goes back to the green and I could take a little bit of profit, I can maybe use that profit to take a swing. And a lot of times I've been having these nice cushions from the pre-market trading. And if I had a nice cushion from pre-market trading here, I would take that swing with it, right? So taking some cushion that I got in the morning and using it to make a push. All right, guys, let's go. Let's go, guys. Umar Ashval, only trading SPY options, bought $4 million mansion for his parents. I don't know, man. I don't know about that. I'll tell you one thing, guys. There's very few big winners in options. And if they are, they're probably hiding and not trying to give advice on trading. That's one thing that I would say. Because options, the way that they work, a lot of the times, you start showing your hand too much and traders just start to target you. 1101 still just hanging out here, guys, and the gap is just moving up and down, not doing anything. It's just one of those days where we're not getting continuous action, and it seems to me like we're going to get this little pause and then there's going to be a ramp up. And a lot of times on Fridays they try to shake and bake you, man. They try to keep you here for as long as they can until they can go ahead and do what? Wash the retail traders out. And then I always talk about the Friday lunch spots. Know your Friday lunch spots for the New York Stock Exchange, because they get together, they have lunch, and they say, you know what? Let's go throw 1 million shares at NVIDIA, right? Well, I'll tell you one thing. I don't trust those traders at the New York Stock Exchange. Be careful out there, guys. We'll see what happens. Definitely, will we see some upside later in the day with the market? There's still possibility. I'm betting right now to the downside, but I can tell you right now, both sides of the coin is available out there. You can see NVIDIA right back towards the 120s, and that tells me more and more how you're getting that push. Tesla's trying to get me out on the swing, guys. I tell you guys how Tesla loves to do it. Tesla's working its way right back, trying to get back through the 210s and then make the run to the 211s. That's one stock to watch for today. At some point, if the Qs choose a direction, watch for Tesla to follow it. Still risking about $60 there in the Tesla trade right now. Up a good amount in Macy's though, up close to $100 in Macy's. Gap giving me an alert telling me I need to go back, Mitch. Go back. Go back. Go look at Gap. And just like that, Gap comes right back down. I'll just reset the alert. Choppy land out there, guys. Choppy land. So it might have made sense for me just to take the trade off the gap into the range, and that was a 22, 2180s. I mean, if I'm trying to be too like particular, but the truth is I'm looking for the bigger move here. And I think that you just have sometimes got to hang tight, right? Got to hang tight. I'm going to the VIXs here to protect as I'm starting to get towards the 98s, and it could stop me out here towards the 96. Of course, I've talked about how I don't want to be in it past that 96. So got to be ready to get out here. Will the market do another downside turn? I honestly don't know, man. The only thing I can tell you guys is the Qs is pushing strong, and that's what's trying to get me out here. So you got to look to see if you get a double top here and it just stops. So this is going to be a big level to watch here. Above that level, you really start to break out, and the tech names start to grind higher. So keep your watch on that right now. We'll see what happens. If it rejects this and comes back down to 474, then we're just playing the game inside the range. Which happens, guys. Stock's S back towards the 22s, guys. So that gives you an opportunity there. If you're trying to get after it, you could get right back after Stock's S. NVIDIA is the name, guys. And of course, keep your eyes on some of the bigger stocks. Apple recovering VWAP right there, trying to recover the 230s. Something to look at. NVIDIA is right around the 120s. 119 acting as supports, gives up that 119. Watch out. Watch out there. SMCI down to 431s. I should have maybe traded SMCI for the short side, but I told you guys what could happen. At any point, it could also do a $200 spike. So that's not a stock for me. That's just what it is what it is, guys. We'll see what happens out there. BNRG giving me the alert right now. $2 spiking on that. So unusual volume now pushing in that one. BNRG towards 208. I think this one was halted earlier. To be correct. Yes, it was. It was halted 3 times today. Now continuing to push. Here's NVIDIA rejecting a little bit there, and the chop continues, man. The Tesla one's the one that's interesting for me too. And just the chart itself, how it's just kind of hanging in there. You see how it's just hanging. It's going to go one direction. But the question is, when do we get the big bar? We haven't gotten one of those big bars. If I took a look at the 5-minute, you can see more and more how the chop right here is just chopping around. It's in what I call an ascending triangle. And I'm not the only one that calls it that, right? But you can see it there, the ascending triangle. Why is it ascending versus descending? Well, ascending is how do you determine that? Is you look at the trend line. So all my technical analysis out there, analysts, if you guys want to take a look at that, how do we determine if it's a declining triangle or an ascending, right? Descending or ascending? You look at the trend line. The trend line tells you here. The trend line is going up. Right? So we'll see if it cuts down here and goes back towards the 208 on a big bar. That's what you would see for cut downs, right? We'll see what happens. VIX back above the 11 there. So VIXy back towards the 1102s. I got through the undercut of the low and volume came in. What do I call that? I call that the undercut and rally trade. Now I want to see the volume increase into the move towards, let's say, 1107. If I do see that, I could take another ad, essentially, just based on the chart, not based on my risk to return, but based on what I see on the chart. So we'll see if this 1096 can hold now. Now I'm looking for volume to continue the increase into the move. So you see how we got a volume spike here to 144s. And before that, we were trading right about, let's say, 42,000 shares every 5 minutes. Now we just got a spike there towards around 87,000. Would love to see it get back at least to the 60 or 8,000 on the move back towards 1106. It's going to be all dependent on NVIDIA, man. I think that's what it is right now. A lot of traders taking bets on NVIDIA throughout the weekend. Now the question is, what happens, man? And when NVIDIA goes nowhere, who gets hurt the most? We're talking about it right now. Options traders get hurt the most when the price doesn't go anywhere, unless you have like maybe a strangle or a straddle, right? You can do things like that. but we'll see what happens. Conrad, wish you the best on that SMCI if that's what you're going after, man. Just not for me. All right, we'll see what happens there. NVIDIA. What will you do? What will you do, NVIDIA? What will you do? I feel like Dracula today. Haha, I'm going to go back into my cave. All right, man. What a day, guys. All right, well, time to start wrapping things up in just a second here, guys. And I think that this is one of those days where I'm kind of in the in-between, right? And so what do I mean by the in-between? Well, I'm down a little bit, down in my positions, not seeing it perfect. And what I mean by seeing it perfect is when I'm up big and just pushing the gas pedal. Right now, it's time to do what? Time to hit the brake pedal. No one likes to hear that. But in my eyes, I've had a really good week, right? I'm taking a reassessment about what's going on right now. What's going on right now? Got a little bit of some shake back and forth in gap. Could keep coming after it. I've had a set risk to return on that, so I'm not really too concerned. But the truth is, we're getting to this point where we're just not seeing it perfect. And the present moment is doing what? Uncertainty, chop, back and forth. So at this point, do I really want to be sized in and looking for big swings? Probably not. So the question is, do I want to trade into the afternoon? I can't. I'm actually going to go get my car a nice little oil change. Thank you, Toyota. But going to go ahead and get that done. And the truth is, I can't be here all day today. So what do I got to do? I got to understand that today just might be a red day. The hardest thing for any trader to accept. And that's okay. Because I think a lot of traders, one thing they try to do is the moment they say that they're red, they fight red. Don't fight red. Fighting red is a clear example of a losing trader not willing to accept losing. So he pushes on his emotions to think that the next trade is going to be the trade that gets him deep into the green. That's not the way that we should be approaching trading. We should be taking trades based on probability and trying to stay in what? An edge to the green. Even NVIDIA on the bullish side right now, it doesn't have edge because the market's not moving in a direction. It's chopping around and essentially we're taking gambles. Now, if you already took a trade and you're like me, you're really objective in your trade right now, like I am in Gap and I am in the VIXI, I understand why you're in it because you already took it. And so you're staying objective to the trade and that's okay. But at some point, we got to understand what type of day we're having. And the faster you are to admitting to that, the faster you're going to be at doing two things, protecting your gains and cutting losses early. Very important, especially as a trader that's trying to make big jumps in your equity. The number one thing you can't do is wash out on a day where you aren't even seeing it well. Wait to those days that you're seeing it well to push the gas pedal. The days that you're not seeing it well or the market is choppy, the brake pedal should be pressed, not the gas pedal. Majority of day traders that do well understand this. They understand when the gas pedal needs to be pressed and when the brake pedal needs to be pressed. The question is, can you understand that conversation? So if you want to build your confidence through preparation also, one thing I would tell you guys to look at is understanding this situation, right? How am I looking into the day? Should I really be pushing on a day like today, right? If I had monster green, right? Let's say if I'm just up an insane amount for the week, I can just calculate an amount that I want to risk and take a trade, right? But the truth is, we shouldn't let ourselves fall off, right? That's what most traders do. They fall off the risk to return. They fall off their edge. And the next thing you know, all their hard work, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, just went out the window. Not what we're going to do here. Not what I'm going to do, at least. I hope you guys can learn from my strengths and my weaknesses. Like always, I'm not just pure strengths, right? I'm going to have weaknesses. And one of those things I always talk about it, it's the missing trades that I have full setups in, and I just don't take the trade. but we'll see what happens today. Like that SOXS trade, it can be a frustrating one for me because I didn't take the trade, but I called it to a key, right? And that's when you get a little frustrated. The 22 back to the 22.79, that could have been great money, right, today? But I'm not going to get mad about that. I'm just going to keep trading and focusing on what matters. Risk to return, keeping that in mind, keeping my habits in the green, right? Changing a bad habit of mine that was getting sizing too big, too early, and trying to adjust that. All right, guys, that's going to do it for us today, guys. It's about 10:51. I'm going to start to wrap up things. I'm just going to take a look here at the VIXI, see what's going on. What do I see on the VIXI here is you got to see it on the 15 minutes here. There's 3 bottomings on the 15 minutes, and we shouldn't break through that. So at this point, like let's say like 95 is a definite out. So at this point, I can just cut it out if I hit 96 even. So I'm just keeping a really close eye on that. But 3 bottoming attempts tell me that you're either going to break down and continue going lower, or you reverse off of this level. So at least I know where the give and take is, right? So important. Same thing for gap. Let's go back to gap. Let's take a look at that approach. So we know that back through the 22.45s, it's not where I want to be, not where I want to be in. It's going to play between this, and I think it's going to all depend also on how the market moves. If we go back to red, I think the gap for me. If it doesn't, if this goes back green and the SPY rips up, Qs rip up, I think gap stops me out. So what's going to be important is in a second, just setting a stop at the already understand the risk and then letting it work. It's either going to work or not. Those are what I call predetermined trades. At this point, I can take the trade, set it, and forget it, right? That's all I need to do. At some point, you got to set it and forget it, baby. Walk away, walk away. There's no need to watch every single tick once you have that trade established, right? Now, a lot of traders sometimes will get stop hunted because of this, and I understand that. I don't get upset about that. I know that that's what I wanted to risk, and that's what I wanted to take the trade on. Now, if I could be here all day, I would just use market ins and outs, but the truth is I can't be, and I have to set stops sometimes. I have to go ahead and control the risk sometimes. I wish you guys the best. I hope you guys enjoyed all the action this week. Money Mitch is here to help you guys, right? I'm here to help you. The truth is, I can't help you guys unless you guys tell me what we need to work on, right? So you guys tell me, what are those habits that you guys see struggling out there that you guys want to make improvements on? Because guess what? A lot of those habits, multiple traders are struggling with it. So if we can start to really grasp that and hold each other accountable, help each other, we can really start making a move in the right direction. I wish you guys the best weekend. Enjoy the long weekend. Have great times with your family. Focus on also having good times, and getting outside of the trading mentality is so important, because the truth is we can't let what happens in trading, the results, lead our emotions. Our emotions need to lead our results, right? And we need to be mindset ready. We also need to sometimes take a break and not be in such a focus-driven mentality, because you need to take breaks. You need to enjoy your family. You need to hope that your personal life is balanced if you want to balance trading life also. I wish you guys the best. Keep working on things that can improve you, whether that be mindset, whether that be technicals, whether that be learning more fundamentals, or maybe it's just staying right here on Trade the Pool, of course. I'll be here battling with you guys. We'll be back next week. I hope you guys enjoy everything. And please, if you haven't done so before, hit that subscribe. It go ahead and shows everybody that you guys enjoy the show and want to keep going right here with Money Mitch. I'll see you guys back on Monday. Stay safe out there, traders. Right now, gap bouncing a little bit. Still the shake out there. At some point, I think closer towards 11, we'll see a turn towards 12. Watch out there, guys. It's going to be choppy land. Now the only question is, what happens? Stay tuned, and I'll see you guys back on Monday. You guys can always keep up with my Twitter. Never forget that, guys. Money Mitch _ TTP. If you're not following me, you're missing out, team. We'll see you guys back on Monday.